G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today on the ranked ladder we are on Dry Arabia to watch two of the world's top level players face off against one another. We've got rank 25 in the north, we've got rank number 5 in the south, and the question's going to be who wins? Is it the new French or is it the old French? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Spawning in the north of the map in the color blue, playing as the OG French, the original. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nifung. And to the south of the map in the color red, playing as the Knights Templar. Representing Team Elephant, ladies and gentlemen, it's Louis MT. Welcome to a casted game. A pleasure to have your company today as, we start off nice and early here, 45 seconds into the game. We've got a whole world to wonder about exactly what is going to be going on in this game, because I think this is the first time we're seeing it. The matchup, the OG civilization against the new one. We've obviously seen the English variant against the English, but now it's time to see the new French variant against the French. And I tell you what, that's a game that I'm looking forward to. So if you're looking forward to it as well, please, I encourage you, go down and leave a like on this video. It really helps out with the traction of the content. And let's get into it and talk about what we may potentially see this game. So on the side of the Knights Templar, one of the things that I've definitely well and truly considered at this point is the second town center. It has by far become the most obvious choice for this civilization. But one thing to note is you're up against early aggression here. So if we were to talk about, aggression from the side of a civilization, you're going to be thinking like Mongols. Ottomans are probably going to be getting it out early as well, but it's not going to be as difficult to deal with. And French, they're the big ones. Maybe English as well in the good old days with the council hall. So is Louis MT going to be able to squeeze? Let's go with squeeze. Is he going to be able to squeeze out? Don't leave him, Louis. Louis MT, I can't believe you're making mistakes like this. One of the world's best players here, ladies and gentlemen. So don't be afraid if you do it as well. Are we going to see an early second TC from him? Because I feel like it at this point is a bit of an arms race. If we think about it from the perspective of, okay, Louis knows that he can do a second town center and not take any damage, right? Like, I guarantee you, even if there's an early knight, like let's say that his opponent ages up at 3 minutes and 50 seconds, gets a knight immediately, runs it over to this base, I guarantee you, Louis MT still doesn't lose a villager. Because when it comes to positioning the town center, like there's a couple of ways that you could go for it. Like you could look to try and do it here in this little quadrant, probably not as good. I would be much more tempted to put it down right here. This is a really good position. The other thing to note is we've got the deer as well, so you could definitely look to push the deer into this town center. So this is a really good spot. And because of that, if you put the TC right here, you're going to be protecting it with the town center. So at the end of the day, there's no real way. Look at this, 5 vills on the age up. So we are potentially seeing the culmination here of these two theories. You've got on one side the French player who says, well, I've got to rush this guy before I can get the second town center up. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but I suspect he's going to go for a second TC. So let's see if we can spot out exactly where that is. Meanwhile, on the other side, Louis MT saying to himself, well, I'm going to go for that second TC. And there's nothing that you can do to stop me. And this is what I was talking about, where it feels like you're almost having a bit of an arms race here, where both players know what's going to happen, at least for the first stages of the game. So if we check in here with our French friend and see exactly where this scout goes, he's going to be looking for the stone. That's what he wants to know, because that's where he's going to be hitting. So as long as he's able to find that before the first knight arrives, he'll be okay. So he comes into this bottom side and immediately gets confirmation, okay, it's just the gold that's down here, so almost certainly we're going to need to come through this top side, and that's where he'll be looking to make his arrival. So that age up is about to come through. You can see that we've also got the age up coming through on the side of Louis, who's going to be going with the Kingdom of France, which is, I would say at this point, pretty stock standard. It's typically Kingdom of France or Principality of Antioch. We haven't really seen Knights Hospitaller at all these days. But going back to the idea of an arms race, 358 by the way, do we get the immediate click? We get the immediate click. So this is pretty much the fastest you will see French players aging up together, and he immediately follows it up with the second TC. Exactly what I was saying, okay? In the sense that you've got this second TC coming down. So this is going to be a very early second town center. Not the fastest TC. I've managed to do a 4-minute TC. So this is 20 seconds slower than that. 22 seconds slower than that. But look at the amount of vills he's using to build it. There's no punishment. It's not possible. You can't punish this. Look at this. It just makes sense. And he's pushing the deer in as well. So everything that we suspected was exactly the way that it would be. And yeah, it leads me to this conclusion that, okay, if Louis MT is going for 2 TCs and knows he can get away with it, and his opponent knows that Louis MT is going to go for a second TC, and he knows that there's nothing that he can do about it, so he has to go for a second TC himself, then the question in my mind is, well, what does Louis MT do for that? And does he go for an arms race and go for a third TC himself? Now, I don't think he's going to do that, because I think Louis typically is a bit more of a of a safer player, right? And there's that knight is now coming through. He's looking for the stone. He's going to spot it out. He's going to see all the deer. He's going to see the TC at 5 minutes. Already completed. I tell you what, this is a painful state of affairs right here. The knight behind the scenes, you can see he's just going to be forced out. But I tell you what, 5 minutes and 15 seconds into the game, to have that town center already up. You compare this to any other opening, any other civilization, right? Like, what's the fastest TC you can do outside of this? The Ayyubids, if they take their wood age up, can get a 4-minute TC. Like, but nobody does that. It's just not viable. So we don't really include that. Chinese, they can do a 445 TC. The English can do a 450 TC. You can technically also do a very fast TC with the House of Lancaster. It's like a 4 minutes 30, if I remember correctly. But this is that was a 420, and that's not even the fastest, right? Like, there's a build order that you can use where you can do 4 minutes flat, and I've managed to perfect it. I haven't posted it yet, just because I was like, I know that Crackety did a similar build order already, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to post this right now, just because Crackety's already done, you know, pretty decently with that build order. Ours is slightly different to him, a little bit more optimized, but at the end of the day, I think that his build order is obviously going to be more than enough to cover. So I'll leave a link in the description to that build order if you want to check that one out. But you can get a very, very fast second TC here with the Knights Templar, and it kind of leads me to the next question, which is where do you go from here, right? If we know that the enemy's gone for a second TC, what is our play? So it looks like Louis is just going to open up with a Rax as well as a stable. The Rax makes a lot of sense. Spearmen are going to help deflect any knights. The stable's a bit more interesting. Now, we know that he went into the Kingdom of France as his commandery. So, naturally, it makes sense for him to move into that unit. I don't think we're going to be seeing horsemen. We're most certainly going to be seeing the Chevalier coming out. And that's going to do quite well, because Chevalier, together with Spear, goes very well against knights. It goes especially well against Knight Archer. And you can see behind the scenes, look at this, the Spearman coming out, just got its hardened upgrade, actually interrupted the charge. That's a tiny little bug, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's frustrating when you get hit with it. I can't believe that. I don't think he would have caught him in the end. You can see the charge speed. Oh, can I click it? 1.56 versus 1.62. So you wouldn't have caught him with the charge, because our French player turned around in time. But it's one of those little interesting things about Age of Empires 4, isn't it? So Louis is going to look to try and get out onto the map here. And I think this is quite smart, right? Because, you know, we were talking about, okay, what if you do 2 TCs? What if you do 3 TCs? That sort of thing. Well, if you go straight into a 3rd TC off this, well, you've got a knight that you know you need to contend with. You know there's a knight out there. So what's your best bet? Well, I think your best bet is just immediately getting out on the map some units so that you can deal with that, so that you can gather up map control. And we can always drop a 3rd TC down slightly later. We don't have to drop it down right now. We don't have to drop it down before the 7-minute mark, even though we can. Doesn't mean that we should. Now, the knight gets spotted here. He's going to try and rush this up. You can see the knight's going to turn, look to hit some villages. He's going to have to weave this one through the wood lines. Is he going to be able to do it? Manages to squeeze it in, out, tries to run the ville. Eventually goes down after the 3rd hit, and the Royal Knight manages to get away for the moment. And Louis MT loses a villager. Now, Ville Advantage currently sits with the French, which is to be expected. They've got a faster generating villager than any other civilization, with the exception of the Chinese, of course, with their Song Dynasty. And with the exception of the Holy Roman Empire or Order of the Dragon with their Palace of Swabia. I'm sure there's probably a couple of other exceptions, like the Japanese with a Yorishiro in the TC. Oh, we've got ourselves a little interception route running, and good night, sweet. I was going to say sweet prince, but you're actually a knight. Good night, sweet knight. Good night. Dead knight. Let's just go with that. Yeah, I mean, I think realistically at this stage, Louis MT's played this pretty well. I think the big question for me is, where does he look to go to Castle Age? Like, how do you look to transition out of this? Because you can add in a 3rd TC here. I don't think a 3rd TC is bad at this point, but is it the right move? Okay, because you know that this guy, if we look at the French, or from the French perspective, like, what do they want to do? They normally go like 1 knight opening, which is what we saw, into a 2nd TC, which is what we saw, into a lot of units, and then they go castle when they're comfortable. You got to be careful against that. They get a lot of units out very quickly. The knight is something that you need to be cautious about fighting off against. And if the enemy builds up a big knight number, you can be taken by surprise, because if you manage to get out microed, and look, keep in mind, Louis MT is obviously a very good player, but his opponent is also a very competent player, and it's within the realm of possibilities. If you get out microed, if you lose your spears, there's a good chance that you could be outgunned, and there is a weak spot for you potentially if you go for that 3rd TC. So I think from Louis' perspective, not doing that in this matchup. If you were playing like House of Lancaster or the Chinese or the Abbasid, then it could make sense. By the way, a little bit of left hand not talking to the right hand right here, as the Spears and the Chevaliers are going to be clearing out the archers. Vil's running out into the middle of the action as well. Dangerous decision coming out. The town center is actually completely full. He's got a little bit too many villagers out here for the moment. 8 going to be overpacking. Knights should be able to clear out these spears down here, but the big trouble that you've got, is that the scout over there? That's the scout. You can hear him calling out, "Merci beaucoup," I think she said, as she was dying. "Merci beaucoup, please, thank you for killing me." But Vil's going to go down. This is quite a few Vils that he's actually taken out. He just took out 2 Vils right here. So evening up that count slowly, 47 versus 49. Not too bad. And this is sort of what I was talking about, where now all of a sudden, the military numbers have started to really favor the French player. And this is what you're going to be careful as for Louis. Now, it does look like we do have Castle Age coming through. So realistically, what are his options? He's got Angevin Empire, Republic of Genoa, or Kingdom of Castile. Now, I would be very hesitant to take Kingdom of Castile. If you think about the bonuses that it offers you, okay, first and foremost, it's very niche in the sense that it's only near sacred sites do you get that extra damage. Your opponent, if they're good, they'll know not to fight you on those sacred sites, and they'll do everything that they can to force a fight that's not on the sacred sites. They'll try and fight you in the middle of sacred sites, try and attack you somewhere else. Do their best to do that. On top of that, the unit is very, very niche. Maybe good in some matchups against civilizations that have got strong ranged units, so Arbalatrier, maybe it makes some sense. Then you've got Republic of Genoa, which I feel like is just the best at the moment. And then finally, you've got the Angevin Empire. So Angevin Empire can also make a bit of sense here. In fact, Angevin Empire actually makes a lot of sense. A civilization right now that you're facing is making knights. And you know that there's just going to be more knights that come out. And the likelihood that these knights are going to be very powerful knights increases because one of the most common things that you see, Angevin Empire is going to be the correct call here. One of the things that happens with the French when they go for 2 TCs is they look to put down their Royal Institute. So instead of going into the Guild Hall, they will instead look to go up with the Royal Institute. And that's because they've got a larger economy, they're able to support more units, and they're able to find a really nice timing with their Royal Bloodlines upgrade. They're able to pick up a whole bunch of other upgrades as well. So I'm curious to see whether our French player does that, but Louis MT is obviously aware of that, and naturally he's going to play into the Heavy Spearman. Now, the Heavy Spearman as a unit is, in my mind, initially when it started out, the Heavy Spearman was like an S tier unit, but it's begun to fall down a couple of tiers as we've seen it actually used. You've got your theory, right, and then you've got your practice. And I think one of the big things that I wasn't considering in theory, at least for that unit, as we now also see Safe Passage coming through for Louis MT, is the speed of the unit. The speed is quite slow, and that affects a number of components. So as an example, the Spearman is 1.25. When it gets its charge going, it goes up to what was it, 1.56? So it can get pretty quick, and this allows you, as we see more raids going all over across the map as his French opponent looks to try and shut them down. But by having that extra movement speed, it allows you more flexibility in defending raids. You don't have to send cavalry after raiding units. All you need to do is you can send spearmen. They're going to be lagging behind, but they will eventually catch them. The trouble with heavy spearmen, have we got the first one coming out just yet? It doesn't look like it. Is in queue. Here he comes right here. So the trouble that you've got is that he's only 1.12 movement speed, so the same as a man-at-arms. And that right there can be very problematic for you, especially on the defense. It's primarily the defense that I've got the problem with the unit. I think if you're an offensive player and you're using the Heavy Spearman offensively, then 100% it is an incredible unit. It's a powerhouse of a unit because it's a heavy melee unit. That's the key. You need a crossbow. That's the only unit that will counter it is the crossbow. The archers won't counter it unless you want to kite for days. They've got incredible amounts of armor on them. On top of that, they're getting huge bonus damage against the cavalry units, which your opponent has already got plenty of them out, so it naturally makes sense to get more and more of these guys out. And it's going to be so hard because it's kind of like a combination between a man-at-arms and a spearman. And I think it's better, if anything, to think about it as a man-at-arms that just gets bonus damage against cavalry, rather than a spearman that's really strong. Because if you think about it as a spearman, you're going to be using it in situations where it's just not going to feel good. And we did see that happen in a number of games recently on Highview, where the heavy spearman just really felt quite difficult to justify going into. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an absolute beast when it comes to the numbers. Like, if we look at the raw numbers, it's got the same attack speed as the spearman. It's got a little bit of extra damage on it as well. Obviously, a little bit of extra bonus damage, but it basically just means it's a man-at-arms. The one thing is it does attack slower than a man-at-arms. But now, beginning to move forward, heavy spears, together with the OG spears, now going to be able to take out any unit indiscriminately here in this fight. You ideally don't really mind about what units they're attacking. Ideally, though, you'd want to be going after the cav. But for the moment, whoa, I lost my left ear. Give me a second here. Just gonna have to fix up my cable. There we go. There we go. But yeah, for the moment, I think that Louis MT may have overextended himself. For anybody wondering what just happened there, I've got like my headphones are plugged in, and I run the sound back in so I can hear myself talking, and I lost my left ear. I couldn't hear my left ear, so I had to like jiggle with my with my cable. But yeah, it came back. It's an expensive phone, or expensive headphones, but a very cheap cable that I'm using to connect them in. So I probably should consider upgrading that. Anyway, let's check in on the north side as Louis starts to pick up relics. Has already got one in the bag with one on the way. Meanwhile, his opponent yet to actually consider moving into religious units of any type. We don't see any out so far. Not even a monastery placed down just yet. But he does have the plans, the beginnings of his keep that he's looking to put down right here. So undoubtedly he'll be looking to delete this mining camp shortly. Knight out here, trying to find a way through. Or rather, it's not a knight out here. It's a couple of chevaliers out here trying to find a way through. Obviously not going to be able to find anything. The wall is completely sealed up with the exception of this central location now. Ideally, you'd like to wall it all the way. I know I would like to wall this all the way, and it's a guild hall that's coming down. I'll be honest, not a fan. You're at Ayyubids, right? Like, the thing to remember is when we think about like the guild hall, it's great for, don't get me wrong, it's great for like a 45-minute game, 50-minute game, even a 40-minute game. It makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of cool timings that you can do with this, right? Like you can do a fast imperial timing. Don Hardy obviously did a very famous fast imperial timing where you basically keep it on food. Because food is what you're going to be short on when you're going to Imperial, just because you kind of need to transition of farms at this stage. Speaking of transitioning, let's switch these bad boys over to income. But yeah, so maybe that's what our French player is looking to do here, is go up to Imperial really quickly. But the other thing to note is, like, you don't technically need to go Imperial if you just go for the Royal Institute. But we'll talk about that later, because we got ourselves a little bit of a push coming through. The heavy spears, and you can see that it's so difficult to deal with these. You're going to need Arbalètrier if you want to deal with them. The archer's obviously not going to do a whole lot of damage to them. The knight's going to be countered by them, completely destroyed by them. So you're going to have to go into the Arbalètrier, and this second town center on the front line may potentially go down to just a handful of heavy spearmen. It's kind of funny how he's only put together 11 heavy spearmen at this stage. I can see he's making crossbow as well. You can see their numbers starting to build here. He's going to try and work down the spears and crossbows teeing off towards. He's going to try and cover for the backside. Charge comes in. Heavy spears doing a wonderful job of screening. And more reinforcements coming through at the same time from the south side. The knight's looking to find a way around. Nothing just yet. And now more and more units beginning to rally into this central location. I think realistically, yeah, I was going to say realistically is the French right now. All you want to be doing is getting all of your veterancy upgrades, which we can obviously see he's done. You want to be getting your +2s, and then you just want to be spamming Arbalètrier. That's literally your game plan at this point. Ideally, you want to try and get a keep down as well. So the fact that he's deleted the mining camp is a really good sign, and probably will be seeing that coming up shortly. Though we do see quite a bit of stone missing. Did he sell some stone? Maybe he sold some stone? I'm not sure exactly where it is, but we'll worry about that later, because we've got ourselves a decent little battle beginning to unfold to the south of this second town center. On the north side of the map, fertilization going to be coming through as well. A fortress behind the scenes, but our French combatant today absolutely eating alive Louis MT on the Knights Templar. And this is where it starts to get scary, because at this point in the game, right, like, you got to remember, the guild hall has done nothing. The guild hall is just chilling out. And at this stage right here, our French player could have royal bloodlines and be pushing with 10 royal bloodline knights. And you could absolutely take Louis MT out right now. But he's obviously not. He's not doing that. He's playing it a little bit into the longer stages of the game. Sanctuary also now coming through for Louis MT. And maybe we can compare these economies. Let's compare the pair, as we do have treasure towers coming through. Interesting decision to get treasure towers, though I guess realistically he doesn't have to commit to this sacred site. He can always look to extend out a fortress up towards this eastern side. But if we take a look here, so at the moment, 130 gold coming out over onto the west. Be very difficult to justify another fortress out over here. Where is he going with this fortress? There's another fortress. He's looking to... Okay, so I like this. So he's moving into treasure towers, which is going to increase the gold that is generated from your sacred sites, from your monasteries, from your pilgrims. And so he'll drop the fortress here, and then that's going to be increasing the amount of gold that he's generating. Losing out that pilgrim, though, expect him to switch over sides to the sacred site over on the east. Probably makes the most sense. And now, at this stage, Louis MT is even Stevens on that villager count. 93 against 94. He's obviously done a good job of taking out villagers throughout this game, just slowly working down one or two at a time. But the push is really starting to come out right now. Fortunately, this fortress is going to be able to hold it down for the moment. Louis MT firing off with the arrows. A lot of damage being done. A knight going to get taken out. more upgrades on the way through. We've got +2 shaft mining coming in, boiling oil as well. Quite a lot of defensive stuff getting brought through. And so where does that leave our French player? So it looks like it's going to be Imperial Age. And I think that makes the most sense. So you can see exactly what he's done here. He's traded out a whole bunch of his food and then bought up a whole bunch of gold. So he's going to go Red Palace and he's going to put it down in the middle. This is perfect. Absolutely the perfect play in this position. He secures the gold, denies the sacred site, will kill this fortress as well, just simply because of how good the Red Palace is. Like, you really can't contest the Red Palace. And I think from Louis' perspective right now, like, there's nothing he can do about this. He's just got to kind of let this happen because this is coming up way too quickly. There's 24 vills here. So by the time you get over here, it's already come up. So that's just the consequence of it. So I think this is actually a pretty big brain position from our French player to realize that this is one of his ways to win the game. So well done to him for spotting this one out. He's also going to take this gold in the middle. I would actually be looking to take other golds. Like, of course, this is a good gold, but like this is not going anywhere, right? Red Palace, you repair it with wood. You're going to be keeping, at the very least, like maybe keep 5 or 6 vills out here, but you definitely don't need to keep 22 out here. That is for sure. I'd be sending them out. Maybe over here is not a bad spot. There are units that are moving around, so maybe secure that. You could also look to challenge out here on the west. Oh my god, this is an incredible spot to challenge out here. Jeez Louise. I tell you what, maybe this would have been a Red Palaceable position. Imagine if you Red Palaced out here. That's such a good spot. And denies the sacred site as well. Oh, that would have been really good. The only trouble is it's a little bit far from the main base. So it can be very dangerous if your enemy is positioned well with their army. So it's naturally a bit more of a risk. But now those numbers are going to start building up. Upgrades on the way through. So Elite Royal as well as Elite Arbaletier. We've got +1 melee armor coming through as well as Spyglass coming in. So a whole bunch of upgrades. Louis MT about to click up. Where does he go? It's the Kingdom of Poland once again. We're starting to see players more and more favor the Kingdom of Poland in the Imperial Age. And no real surprise, it offers you a whole bunch of flexibility when it comes to your cavalry. We don't see a lot of cav out for him just yet. Louis MT's, of course, got a couple of Chevaliers from earlier, but realistically hasn't done too much else with regard to the cavalry game. Perhaps things change, though, once he unlocks those unique Polish cavalry. The Schlatter? I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm going to try my best to pronounce it correctly. I think there might be a bit more of a Schlatter in there, but yeah, it's difficult. I'll say that much. It's difficult to pronounce. Look at the numbers coming through for Louis. He's stacking up a whole bunch of resources here. It's just going to be heavy spearmen that he's got in queue, as well as a couple of mangonels. I do like this, but all 3 sacred sites held very shortly in possession of Louis MT for the moment. Central sacred site now going to be neutralized, and it's going to be a while before this bad boy gets recaptured again with the Red Palace in the middle of the map. So that one's been looked after. More walls up towards the north. These vills probably going to get caught out, and all of the pilgrims make it to the sacred site just in time, with the exception of one. These vills got eaten alive. Rest in peace, little guys. That was about 6 or 7 vills right there. So Louis MT getting cleaned up, and Louis now going to be looking for some more upgrades. We see crossbow stirrups coming through for the French player. On the side of Louis, we've got the elite heavy spearman upgrade, +3 melee armor, as well as iron clamps for a little bit of a reduction against culverin damage, or cannon damage in this case. And now the question is, where do we go from here? How does he look to play this out? And I just realized, how cool is this? The flags are actually on top of the fortresses. I never realized that before. I knew they came through on the main town center. So you can see them right here on the corners of the main town center. You don't see them on the secondary TC. But on the fortresses, you do see them, which is very cool. So how does Louis look to play this defense? Because this is really hard for him. From this perspective, it doesn't seem like it's going to be an easy hold. This is a lot of units. Powerful units. Crossbow stirrups about to come through as well. Royal biology not yet clicked. Obviously, has he actually picked up his university just yet? I'm not sure whether or not we've seen any university upgrades. I don't think he has. Yeah, university not yet been clicked. Cannon moving a little bit far forward. Cannon, you got to chill out, my friend. You're a little bit too far forward. Mango's going to try and deal with it. Indeed, our French player realizes very quickly that that is an out of position cannon. And he falls back. Says, that ain't it, chief. He's maxed out, 200 out of 200. Stables, archery ranges, as he begins to face towards that opponent. Only the single cannon for the moment, though. He's got one more in queue, but it could be a little bit difficult. He's going to try and throw away the archers. Definitely the right call, especially considering he's now transitioning into this gold-heavy army in the mid to late game. A few Arbaletier here on the front line. Knight's going to look to try and find a way through once again. Immediately, Louis MT sees it and runs away. He says, no, 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 we don't want any part of it. Phil's going to have to fall back. You can see they're all running in different directions. Multiple fortresses now going to come up over on this west side sacred site. A lot of vills going to be lost here. It's going to be doubtful that this keep gets online. This fortress comes online. Oh my lord, look how many vills are getting taken out, but it gets up in the end. Oh, with only one single villager making it into the safety of the fortress. But hold on a minute. It looks like he may have came to the wrong neighborhood. You can see that he was a little bit, perhaps a little bit tunnel visioned right there. But now the question's going to be about whether Louis can catch him or not. There are a lot of units here. However, keep in mind these are heavy spearmen, and one of the big issues you've got with heavy spearmen is, well, they're very strong, they're very slow, and well, you can see 1.12 movement speed compared to the 1.62. It's just going to run across the front. How about the charges? Let's see if the charges come through. There we go. Charge up to 1.44 movement speed. So actually a pretty quick charge. He tries for a quick wall across the back. He's clicking them down. Is he able to get through in the end? He manages to get through, but there's more reinforcements on the way back, and all of these knights should get cleaned up here. Only two of them remain. One on pretty low health, the other one on relatively decent health. And the push continues through the middle. So Louis MT gonna have to head back to the drawing board. Might have to send a couple of schlatters after the Royal Knights, and that's definitely the right call here. By the way, have a look at the difference in health between these 385 versus 364. Remember the good old days of where the Royal Knight used to just be like the absolute king of the late game? And now you've got like these Polish schlatters that are just like, nah, dude. Actually, I am. Royal Cannon sniping out the... Are they royal? They're not royal. Sorry, they're just cannons. Sniping out the pilgrims as they walked across. Imagine if that was your destiny as a pilgrim. I came to the Middle East for pilgrimage, and I died to a cannon. Just a direct... Not even one. Two cannons at the same time. They got me. A sad state of affairs. A couple more knights make it through. Hold on. Is there a hole in this line? Where did these knights come from? There is a little bit of a breakthrough over here. So more knights behind the scenes. They're outnumbered. And there's a wolf involved as well. I don't know how you can beat the wolf as well. That's going to be tough. But the infantry number continues to climb. Louis MT approaching that 200 max population. More upgrades on the way as well. And they're both really just looking to continue rolling through as many upgrades as they can. Denying the sacred site over towards the east. Knights make a connection to the villagers. 111 versus 140. Keep in mind a whole bunch of free gold is going to be generated from these pilgrims. There's 6 of them at the moment. Each one of them 130 gold. On top of that, you've got the extra 20% coming through the treasure towers. So you're talking about 156 gold now for each one of these. 156 gold. You're talking about 900 plus gold per minute coming through for Louis MT. Just because. Just because. No population required. Look how much this boosts up his income as they arrive. Up to 2,500 gold per minute now. A huge amount of gold now coming through to him. Triple mango threat on this south side. Should be enough to take out the Abbasid. Should be enough to one-shot them. He's obviously got the upgrade. So that's something that we'll be looking out for. We're talking about the big mangonel upgrade, the adjustable crossbars. He's looming. Outpost. Trying to do some damage on it. Knight's going to try and get the charge. This is one of the scariest combos that I theorized about. The heavy spearmen plus mangonels. That's literally it. There's nothing else to it. It's just heavy spearmen and mangonels. Let's see if it's actually going to be good. And now, players make their way towards the front of the battle. The heavy spearmen face off against the elite Royal Knights. Abbasid on the backside, doing their best to try and avoid damage from the mangoes. Only a single shot gets out before they're sniped away. You can see those cannons doing so much work as they push back the mangonels and absolutely one-shot those mangoes. Not a single mangonel remains on the field now. The heavy spearmen make their way to the front. Abbasid doing a decent job of kiting back. And for the moment, the favorite definitely feels like our French player in the north. I feel like you probably need a couple more cannons at this stage. He's sitting on 3. I'd love to see him just push that up to about 5, just because of this bonus damage that you've got from, or bonus damage reduction, the iron clamps. And then, of course, he's also gone into the Angevin Empire, which increases the amount of health that you've got on your fortresses. On top of that, I suspect he's already picked up the university upgrade. If we take a look, he hasn't picked it up yet. Court Architects. Oh my god, if Court Architects come through, dude, wow. You're going to be talking about some really tanky buildings, because these are already at 7,800 health. That is a lot of health, and you can see just how difficult it is to take down these down these fortresses. Really struggling quite a bit here. Ville's repairing, and you can see he's exhausted this gold vein, which means he's no longer got a need to keep Ville's in the middle, which means that there's a risk that the Red Palace could fall. Ville's dying up over towards the east side. It's going to be a whole bunch of crossbowmen that are going down. So it looks like Louis is just doing a bit of a crossbow raid, looking to get rid of them. And now both players hitting that population capacity. Both of them maxed out. Insufficient stone on the side of Louis. MT is going to have to head back to the purchasing board. Ville's brought to the front. Our French player looking to try and contest this. Louis MT just throwing away the Villes, bringing everything, throwing the kitchen sink at his opponent. And the Villes looking to try and make a connection. The trebuchets raining down upon it as the spears move forward. A single mangonel looks to unpack. Not in time, my friend, as the cannons snipe him out. And with that, cannons are starting to fall down. He's lost one so far. Needs to be cautious not to lose any more. Trebuchet boulders rallying in from the side of the map, from the south at the moment. But you can see just the amount of numbers that are coming through, trickling in on both sides. More and more heavy spears as Louis MT falls back once again. Not looking good for the Louis MT might right now, that is for sure. He is getting eaten alive by these elite Royal Knights. Louis, how is he possibly going to pull this one back? Arbitrea continue to push up Louis. Where does he go from here? How does he possibly find a way back into this game? Because he's just lost a whole bunch of villagers. If we take a look at the Ville count, he's actually down to 89. His opponent has killed 70 villagers so far this game. Make that 71. I love the fact that the trebuchet boulders just fall down on this guy right here, and he's just like, nah, I don't care. Took 0 damage from them. Elite horsemen also now coming out as well. And now over towards that east side. Ville's going to get caught out of position by the crossbows. Pilgrims have made their decision to come over towards the east side rather than getting caught up in the middle of that war. And Louis MT all of a sudden is starting to look a little bit better. Hold on, what happened here? How did this happen? What? Did Louis just like, did he just spawn 1,000 units or something? Excuse me? The French economy is still decent. Oh my God. Oh, look at his gold. Oh, don't tell me. What's the price? It's still decent. I just sell all your food, bro. What you doing? Sell all your food, train up a couple of traders, get your merchant guilds in. You'll be absolutely comfortable. You just got to make sure you do it sooner rather than later. You can't. Oh, this is not good. This is the difference between rank 25 and rank 5. I'll say it right now. Rank 5 wouldn't have forgotten to start making traders. Rank 25 did. You can play a game perfectly up until the 32nd minute, but I tell you what, the 33rd minute, that's when it gets really difficult. And Louis MT obviously recognizing that. Court Architect's now going to be coming through. I can't wait to see the health on these bad boys. These are going to be stupid, man. If they're already sitting at 7,800 with a 3,800 bonus, I wonder, does that 30% also increase the 3,800? We'll have to math that out. Because then that would be a base of 4,000, right? So the base of 4,000 should mean that it increases by 1,200. So this should go to 9,000 if Court Architects doesn't affect the bonus. But if it does affect the bonus, then it should go above 9,000. Over 9,000, you could even say. Let's find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. I tell you what, that's a TV show. That's one of the TV shows. I miss that show. I still remember the morning waking up, September 12, 2001, and just thinking, this isn't Dragon Ball Z. Where's Dragon Ball Z? Mom, Dragon Ball Z's not on. She's like, I know, honey. I know. All right, let's check the health. It's over 9,000, dude. Look at the health of that fortress. So it does stack. That is it's 7,777. That is a ridiculous amount of health. How is that even fair, dude? Look at the red palace, 5,000 health. It's like you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about, dude. That is so ridiculous. Treb's firing off. He's got the triple Treb upgrade as well. We've got the counterweight defenses. And now a fortress. This is quite literally you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Oh man, those boulders coming in look so sick. Is that what they're called? It doesn't actually say. They're boulders, right? Stones? How would you even describe them? Projectiles. Dude, that one looks so sick because of the way that it splits. It like splits perfectly over the camera angle. And now that red palace is going to be negotiated with the hard way. Huge amount of villagers building up this fortress in the center rather. Louis MT almost maxed out here, 189. Have a look at the military difference between these two. A large amount of this is going to be siege, though. Louis MT with a total of 4 mangonels, 4 trebuchets out as well. He's going to work his way through the center. Still got the horsemen out towards the east side. Is he trying to find the traders? He's trying to find the vills that are trying to drop the traders. Meanwhile, the traders are over here doing 42 gold a minute. We got to move the markets, my friend. We got to get these markets a little bit more favorably positioned. A sad state of affairs to be a market. At least you've got the merchant guilds, though, right? Like, that's one of the good things about having the merchant guilds is it kind of guarantees that you've at least got that baseline. Arbitrary number looking a little bit better. But how do you deal? See, this is the trouble. How do you deal with the mangonels now? You've lost the guild hall. Oh, he's just taken out. I don't know what he had on the guild hall, but the guild hall is where you get the gold from to build the additional cannons that you need to kill the mangonels so that your Arbitria don't die. But the trouble is, with 4 mangoes, that is certain death for your Arbitria. By the way, 472 health against 364. Yo, can we talk about power creep? Can we do it? Can we talk about power creep yet? Like, look at this. 472 health. I mean, sure. All right, we got the cataphract. We got all that other good stuff. By the way, we've got fortresses coming up everywhere. Have a look at this one. He's going to try and control this last little bit of gold that his opponent has got access to. We heard some sort of cancellation sound. I heard it come through just then. Fortresses coming up all over the map. There's 4 at the moment. There's going to be the 5th one. We also have the horsemen coming through. This could be the final frontier over towards this east side. The last little bit of, the last remnant of resources on the map. Market coming up as well. No way. Hold on. Nah, that ain't right. Nah, there's no way. There's no way treasure towers. Yeah, it's coincidental, right? There's no real reason that he's put that next to it. For anybody who's wondering what I'm talking about, it's the pilgrim loans together with the treasure towers. But oh, we got ourselves a bit of a battle beginning to unfold now as the heavy spearmen look to defend. The Schlatter also holding on mangonels towards the backside. Let's see if they can make many connections. Treb still firing off. And this is Age of Empires. Look at this epic battle that we are watching right now. So many Arbitria firing off the mangoes. Looking to dish out the damage, able to do so. Look at the dead Arbitria. I tell you what, the mangonels are not dead, my friends. Well, they are now. Where did you guys come from? That is a lot of... Okay, Louis MT's in trouble. That is a lot of cavalry. That is a scary amount of cavalry that we are witnessing right now. Now, I guess one thing to consider as well is that, like, it's not always about the money or always about the health of these units. But I tell you what, these Royal Knights are scary. They are really scary, man. Trying now to clean up the last of the mangoes. Going to be able to find it as well. And now Louis in trouble. Look at this. We got a 3 versus 1 split right here. Louis is in trouble. But are we just going to see what happened last time? Remember what happened last time? How the French player looked like they were just going to overwhelm Louis. And then all of a sudden, the tables just turned while we weren't paying attention. I don't even know what happened. But here the fortress. Keep in mind, this is a fortress with a trebuchet on top that's like slaughtering these. Dude, the trebuchet. It's like the trebuchet boiling oil. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Dude, you don't realize how much health they've got. This is the trouble. People don't realize how much health they've got. This is not a normal fortress, dude. This is a 10,000 health fortress. This is ludicrous. Is there anything else that's buffing this up? Oh, you know what else is buffing it up? The iron clamps as well. Yeah, iron clamps. If there's any other thing trying to fight it down. Louis also almost found his way back into this game, by the way. On the east side, fortresses come online. Look at that! Look at this. Is so funny, dude. 5,000 health. Like your keep, my keep. It's just like it's always guaranteed. Like you can never lose control of a position anymore as the Knights Templar. You're just kind of guaranteed to win it. I think in another video I floated the idea of having the trebuchet emplacement in the Castle Age. I would like to recall that previous statement. That was not a good idea. This is kind of incredible, man. When you watch the power that Louis MT's got, you got to remember that these aren't like your castles are not. They're buildings, right? They don't take your population space, and they're so powerful in wielding their influence. 10,000 health is insane to me, though. God, that's ridiculous. He's now putting another fortress in the middle. You got to remember that, like, at the end of the day, how many units were lost? Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. Wait. Our French player has now moved all of his forces over towards the east because he wants to deal with his fortress. And Louis is now just going to walk into his base with the remnants of his army. And you can see that the army number is now evened up. Louis MT's army is the same as the French players. He's maxed out again. The French player didn't have enough tempo with regard to his siege. He wasn't able to take down the enemy army and stop it from rebuilding. And because of that, despite being so close to victory, he's now on the ropes again. You can't help but feel like he is 100%. Oh my god, look at the mangonels. Dude, Louis MT has 12 mangonels. You shouldn't be able to make that many mangonels. I feel like that's illegal. Louis, you're breaking the law here. Because this is where you start one-shotting everything. I wonder if he one-shots Royal Knights at this level. The box! He's putting a box down! No, Louis MT. Oh, don't do him like this. Louis MT. No. It's just a ranked game, Louis. It's not even for money. Louis, it's just for pixel points. No, Louis, don't do him like this. No, 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 no. The Vils are all a little bit distracted at the moment. He's going to push forward. He doesn't want the box to come online. Louis MT is going to try and hold out with the defense. Mangoes turn around. Big shots come down into the center of mass. He looks to make a connection once again, surrounding all of these mangonels. The box is not up on time. And with that, they get absolutely mauled. Good night, sweet prince. As the mangonels fall, so does Louis' empire once again. Dude, it's a tale as old as time itself. We just keep seeing it. It just keeps happening. The heavy spears are doing a decent job, but I tell you what, the knights just overwhelm them, don't they? The knights have got a lot going for them. You know, as I said earlier, it's not just about the health. Like, it's about the bonus damage that you get after you charge. You know, all the healing up, all those nice little things. I love this wall, by the way. Can we look at it from the perspective of his opponent? Yeah, he knew it was coming up, dude. He was like, I gotta go now. If I don't go now, I'm in trouble. And he was right. Like, you would be in a difficult spot. But have a look at this. Vil count starting to get evened out a little bit. 104 versus 108. What a match that we have got right here. This is incredible. Second fortress now going to be coming down a little bit closer to this trade outpost. The Schlatter cavalry retreat back. Louis MT trying to find his way in this world. He knows that it's something to do with fortresses. Now, keep in mind, we don't have trade, but you know what we do have? We do have a few. We got a few pilgrims on the way back here. He's working the magic. The pilgrim magic. Town center going to fall to the French. Over towards the east. He's managed to secure this trade outpost, and that's going to shut down trade completely for our French player. So where does he go from here? Because if he can't trade, he's in trouble. And the trouble that you're going to have, like, this is insanity. More than 10,000 health? How do you deal with this? Like, the Red Palace, dude, look at the Red Palace, 5,000 health. That's crazy to think it's a Red Palace. I mean, the Red Palace is not famed for its strength, right? Like, what's the Rus landmark in the Imperial Age? I'm losing it, dude. I tell you, I'm losing it. It's that early onset Alzheimer's. I'll get it eventually. You start off with the Kremlin and the Golden Gate, and then you go into the High Trade House, and then the Abbey of the Trinity, and then you go into the High Armory and the It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Don't worry. I will not let the early onset Alzheimer's win. It is the... Dude, it's gonna drive me crazy. You guys know the one. The one I'm talking about, it's got all the emplacements, and it starts with like 10,000 health. And I think it goes up to 13,000 if you get Court Architects. Dude, look at this. The trouble that you've got is that you still don't have a win condition. And this is the trouble with the Knights Templar, right? Louis got 7 landmarks right now. So for Louis to surrender, you would need to just do irreversible damage to him, or you would need to kill those 7 landmarks. And he's not going to surrender. It's called the High Armory and the... Give me a sec. I'm sorry, I can't do it, dude. I'm dying. Rus, Imperial Age, the Spasskaya Tower. Why couldn't I remember it, dude? Why? That was killing me, man. It was like, imagine if you're in a straitjacket and you got an itchy nose. Like, that's what it feels like. I know what it is, but I can't think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh gosh, I had to. I'm sorry. Okay, I feel so much better. The Spasskaya Tower. Of course, the Spasskaya Tower. Anyway. So probably not as strong as the Spasskaya Tower, but I guess you can only have one Spasskaya Tower, whereas you can have 1,000 fortresses. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, the Trebs as well. All of them generating 1 gold. Oh my lord, look at that Vil count. How many traders did he have? How many traders did he just lose? That feels bad, man. He's walling it out as well. Dude, Louis MT is just, he's on a whole nother level right now. A lot of spears in here, a lot of heavy spearmen. They've got all their upgrades right now. Fully maxed out, these bad boys. Treb still firing off at the guild hall now. He's starting to work down these landmarks. And the Schlatter, look, as he moves forward with the next fortress. It's just such a methodical game. It's such a slow and methodical game. And you got to remember, every single time he puts down an additional fortress, he gets rewarded. He gets more gold that he generates for free. It's like adding in, at this point, it's like adding in 4 extra villages onto gold every single time he builds a fortress. When he hands, how many does he have at the moment? 8. And each one of them is making 156. Let's double check and make sure that we get that number right. 156, 20, yeah, 156. How many did he have? 8. I think it was 8. So 1,200. Oh my lord, look at the size of that army. That is a massive army coming through. He gets the additional +1/+1 ranged and melee armor. Also a little bit of extra range, and now we are talking. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new expansion for Age of Empires 4. What is this? Look at the amount of units that are in here right now. We can barely put them all on the screen. There's so many. Wow, talk about epic. Look at this. They're all folding over the top of each other. There's got to be a word for this. There's got to be a technique for this where they just kind of flood over the edge of... And now breaking through, Louis MT looks like he's finally done it with our French player tapping out. Ladies and gentlemen, go check him out. I'll be leaving a link in the description of where you can watch Louis MT live over on Billy. I tell you what an incredible game coming out from him. And just honestly, that is like a textbook example of Knights Templar play. Well done, Louis MT. Go check him out. Links in the description. Thank you for watching.